OAuth is one of those features that sounds tiny in a planning meeting. 3 endpoints, 1 protected root, plug in the provider, ship it. But the moment authentication enters the request path, the app is no longer the same app. That is why this video exists. Not to ask whether security is worth it. It is. The useful question is where the cost appears when you move from a public demo, API, to a real OAuth and OIDC protected service. The experiment is deliberately small, Spring Boot on one side, ASP.core on the other. Same endpoints. Same machine. First we run the public baseline, then we add the framework standard resource server integration and measure the delta. This matters because most framework comparisons skip the part production teams actually feel. Cold starts, image size, idle memory, config complexity, and broken auth wiring are not abstract details. They decide how painful the service is to operate. Before performance counts, the security behavior has to pass. Public and health stay open. Protected rejects missing tokens. Protected rejects bad tokens. A valid issuer signed token is the only way through. That gate changes the tone of the benchmark. We are not comparing an insecure app against a secure app as if they are alternatives. The public version is just the control group. The secure version is the thing you would actually ship. The first terminal pass is intentionally boring because boring is useful. The baseline proves the harness, proves the endpoints, and gives us a clean reference point before the auth stack starts doing real work. Once the correctness checks run, the benchmark has teeth. A 200 from health means the service is alive. A 401 from protected means the boundary is doing its job. The performance charts only matter after that. In Spring Boot, the important object is the SecurityFilterChain. That is where the route rules become executable policy, and where the JWT resource server becomes part of the request pipeline. The code is not huge, but it is dense with consequences. Permit public and health. Require authentication for protected. Attach OAuth resource server, JWT validation. Small config, meaningful runtime behavior. The Spring model is explicit. You can inspect the chain, reason about filter order, and see where the protected root becomes different from the public root. That clarity is valuable when security policy grows. On the .NET side, the center of gravity is NET JwtBearer. Authority, validation parameters, authentication middleware, authorization middleware, and endpoint policy all have to line up. The minimal API keeps the surface area compact, but the order still matters. Authentication has to run before authorization. The protected root has to declare that it requires authorization. Otherwise, the code looks secure without enforcing the boundary. That is the first real lesson. OAuth integration is not just a dependency. It is a sequence. Provider metadata, token validation, middleware order, endpoint policy, and error behavior all have to agree. The failure is part of the story because it is the part developers remember. A missing JwtBearer package is not dramatic, but it is exactly the kind of integration snag that turns just add auth into a real implementation task. After the fix, the build passes and the benchmark can continue. That retry count belongs in the result, because developer experience is part of the cost profile too. Now the charts become useful. Protected root latency tells us what happens on the hot path. This is where token parsing, signature validation, issuer checks, and framework middleware show up together. The bigger picture is the tax map. Startup tax is the boot path. Runtime tax is the protected endpoint. Footprint tax is memory and image size. Developer tax is config, dependencies, retries, and surprises. Cold start is usually where heavy frameworks reveal themselves first. If a service scales from 0, rolls frequently, or runs in tight container pools, this number is not cosmetic. Idle memory answers a different question. How many secured services can the platform keep warm before the bill or the node pressure becomes annoying? Image size is not only a storage number. It affects pull time, vulnerability scanning, caching, and how quickly new instances can appear when the platform is under pressure. The production decision is not which framework has auth. They both do. The decision is which trade-off your team can afford every week after the demo is over. If memory and image size dominate your constraints, the .NET profile is hard to ignore. It stays lean and keeps the protected API shape compact. If policy complexity, auditability, and team familiarity dominate, Spring has a strong argument. The security model is verbose enough to inspect and familiar enough for many enterprise teams to operate confidently. The baseline should never be the product. It is there to expose the difference. Shipping the public-only version would make the benchmark faster and the system wrong. The real verdict is that OAuth does not add one universal cost. It changes the shape of the runtime. Spring pays more visibly in startup and footprint. NET stays tighter in this run. Both are viable when the security boundary is verified. So the point of the video is not to crown a toy winner. It is to show the work, build the app, secure the route, prove the boundary, measure the tax, and choose the platform with open eyes. If you want more backend breakdowns like this, where the code, logs, failures, and measurements all stay visible, subscribe. The goal is simple: fewer benchmark myths, more production decisions you can defend.